for human beings, it is a genuinely distressing thing to experience being excluded. We not only don't enjoy it, in fact, generally we hate it, but it's also deeply encoded into our kind of survival repertoire that we need the group, because in fact we do need the group. There is no such thing in nature as an individual. Even the grody teenager who wants to shut himself off in his bedroom and play computer games and be separate from the world, of course, is still connected to the internet, and someone's feeding that person and probably connected to the electricity grid, and water is coming in and waste is going out of their home. So sometimes when we think we want to be disconnected, it's all kind of relative. We are now so profoundly connected with each other, it's actually pretty much impossible for us to imagine how we would do life off the grid on our own. And that's just basic biological survival before you get to all the psychological stuff that we need as human beings in terms of understanding ourselves and stories of meaning that make sense and all that kind of stuff. So being excluded is a dire situation to have to face, and being included comes at a certain cost, of course, and at one level this is quite appropriate. We have to think about how do we behave with the other human beings in such a way that we'll all get along all right together. And so society has rules, we have laws, they are enforced by police forces and those sorts of things, and we by and large learn how to obey them and cooperate with one another in a way that sort of works, is helpful for each other. And sometimes we're slower to do that. It takes a while to learn the rules, and we go through our rebellious teenage phase, and that seems to be stretching into the 20s now because we're just slower to grow up and take responsibility, it seems. And all of that's quite appropriate and healthy and so good. So you have exclusion, which is devastating. You have inclusion, which is what we kind of all look for, but takes a bit of effort to get to. We've just got to get around a pile of mulch. That's really interesting. I see a pile of mulch back there. Wasn't expecting that. So yes, you have exclusion, which none of us really want. You can have inclusion, which takes a bit of effort, and we've got to learn the rules, and then we kind of amend our native behaviours a little bit so that they work for the whole group. And then there's this more profound thing, this thing that I think our soul deeply yearns for, which I'm going to call acceptance. So it's a little bit different from inclusion, because it's about not obeying a set of rules so as the other person will include you, or the group will include you, but it's about knowing that the other loves, welcomes, enjoys and celebrates you just because you are you. It's a pretty rare experience, I put to you. Human beings actually aren't that good at offering it to one another, and so it takes on a kind of divine tone to it, because in actual fact we don't really see it in history that much either, except in very unique characters, one of whom of course is the guy I look up to all the time, a guy named Jesus of Nazareth. And he showed divine love in his absolute giving of himself to others, and a willingness to take on the cost of that love himself. Sorry, one of the hazards of making these on the street is the street's quite noisy. And so Jesus exemplifies this divine love and the acceptance whereby he welcomes all comers at his own expense. And this is the love of God. And it's hard to find in our human experience, but I put it to you that we need it very, very profoundly, because if everything we do is being shaped by our assessment of what's required in order for us to be included, eventually we will dry up. We will just find it so hard to constantly be working to find ways of being part of the group we need in order to survive. If we have an oasis where we are celebrated, welcomed, loved and enjoyed just for who we are, that gives a whole new lease on life. And I put it to you that that's what divine love is all about. And I think we do see that exemplified in the way that Jesus gives himself utterly for people. So, as you go about your studies and you're learning how to make your contribution to the world, and that is to be commended and encouraged, and you'll find it very fulfilling, I'm sure. Also, keep one eye open to where you are celebrated, welcomed, loved and enjoyed just for who you are, not for your contribution, but for the fact that you exist and you don't have to do anything for it. And that will open up new opportunities to discover new things about yourself, and indeed what you can offer to other people, but you don't have to, you want to. It's a wonderful thing. I'll be at the college again this week, so I'll hopefully see you around. Keep going with your studies. God bless. See you soon.